with Raphael Ahevi. And in this podcast, we challenge you to become a better person. And I want to challenge you today. So I want you to tune in and listen very carefully and on what we are sharing today. I'm sharing from my book called Conviction. Opinions are cheap, but convictions are real. Convictions Opinions are cheap, but convictions are real. And I want to discuss to you today about when your environment fights your belief. When your environment fights your beliefs. One of the hardest experiences in life is trying to become someone different while surrounded by an environment determined to keep you the same. You begin to grow, to think differently, to develop discipline, to build conviction. But suddenly, everything around you pushes you back. Friends become uncomfortable. Families question your choices. People mock your vision. Your surrounding tempts you back into old habits. And you begin to feel torn between who you were and who you are becoming. This is one of the greatest battles of transformation. Most people underestimate the power of environment. They think growth is only about motivation, intelligence, or desire. But environment affects energy, thinking, behavior, and identity more than most realize. A seed may have life within it, but if planted in a toxic ground, growth becomes difficult. Likewise, a person may have a vision, potential, and purpose, but if surrounded by constant negativity, destruction, and limitation, they will struggle to become who they were meant to be. Environment matters. Environment matters. They are environment that feed conviction and the environment that slowly sophisticates it. Some environments reward growth, others punish it. Some environments challenge you to rise, others pressure you to remain average. Some environments inspire discipline, others normalize dysfunction. If you stay in the wrong environment too long, eventually you begin adopting to survive within it. And survival can slowly kill vision. This is when many people live in internal conflicts. Inside, they desire more, but around them, everything pulls them back. Their vision says grow, the environment says stay the same. Their conviction says build, and the surrounding says relax. Their future calls them forward, while familiarity changes them into the past, and the tension becomes exhausting. The painful truth is this: not every environment will celebrate your evolution. Not every environment will celebrate your evolution. Some people benefited from your lack of discipline. Some were comfortable with your insecurity. Some liked the vision of you that doubted yourself. Growth changes dynamics. Growth changes dynamics. When you become focused, people who live carelessly feel exposed. When you become disciplined, people who love excuses may feel challenged. When you become ambitious, people committed to comfort may resent you. Not because you attack them, but because your transformation becomes a mirror, and a mirror makes people uncomfortable. There is also emotional pressure. Sometimes the environment fighting your belief is not openly toxic. It is emotionally attached to the old version of you. People say you have changed. You are too serious now. You think you are better. We miss the old you. And if you are not emotionally strong, guilt will pull you backward. But growth always changes you. That is the point. Growth always changes you. That is the point. You cannot become greater while remaining exactly the same. Transformation requires separation from old thinking, old habits, and sometimes old environments. However, this in this book and in this chapter is not teaching hatred toward people. It is teaching awareness because some people are not intentionally trying to destroy your growth. They simply cannot understand vision they have never seen within themselves. People often reject what challenges their comfort, but understand this carefully. You do not need everyone permission to involve. You do not need anyone permission to involve. You do not need universal approval to become disciplined, to pursue purpose, and to protect your peace, to build your future. If you wait for every person around you to understand your transformation, you may never move at all. There are moments in life when your conviction requires distance, not because you hate people, but because proximity influences identity. You cannot constantly surround yourself with negativity and expect positivity dominant your mind. You cannot remain immersed in distraction and expect discipline to thrive. You cannot continuously expose yourself to fear and expect courage to grow naturally. Environment transfers energy. Environment transfers energy. This is why protecting your mind matters. Every conversation enters somewhere. Every atmosphere affects something. Every environment leaves traces. This is the question we need to ask. What is your environment planting inside you daily? Fear, doubt, excuses, small thinking, or vision, discipline, wisdom, and growth? Some people are trying to build build powerful future while remaining emotionally loyal to destructive environments. That conflict drains strength. At some point, you must decide which matters more, familiarity or growth, because growth often feels uncomfortable at first. You may feel alone, misunderstood, disconnected from old cycles, but temporarily discomfort is often the price of transformation. There is another danger when environment fights your beliefs. Over time, repeated exposure weakness resistance. A person who once strongly resisted negativity slowly begins tolerating it, then participating in it, then become it. This is how convictions fade, not instantly, but gradually. Small compromises repeated over time reshape identity. That is where conviction must be guided intentionally, not emotionally, not arrogantly, but consciously. Strong people learn how to survive difficult environments without allowing those environments to enter their identity. They may remain physically present but mentally protected. They choose carefully what they absorb, what they entertain, and what they normalized because they understand something powerful. Not everything around you deserves access to your mind. At times, the environment fighting your beliefs may even be internal. Old habits, old fears, old emotional patterns. You may physically leave one environment while mentally carrying it within you. This is why external change alone is not enough. True, true transformation requires internal renewal. You must rebuild your thinking because a changed location without a changed mindset eventually recreate old cycles. One of the greatest signs of maturity is learning how to remain rooted in your conviction even when surrounded by pressure. That is strength, not temporary motivation, not emotionally excitement, but stability. The ability to remain aligned with truth despite opposition. And eventually, something powerful happens. The same environment that once pressure you begin to notice your consistency. Your discipline becomes visible. Your peace becomes visible. Your growth becomes visible. Because conviction sustained over time produces evidence. Friends, this is self-government with Raphael Ahavi. And we are discussing on the subject of environment and on the subject of conviction. Opinions are cheap, but convictions are real. And I'm continuing my discussion with you today. And evidence silence many arguments, but you must survive the early stage first. The only stage you must the lonely stage, the misunderstood stage, the resisted stage. I will say that again. The lonely stages, the misunderstood stages, the resisted stages. Because every transformation process has a period where your future is invisible to everyone except you. That is where convictions matters most. So if your environment is fighting your beliefs, do not panic. Do not immediately surround your vision. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not betray your growth to preserve familiarity. Instead, protect your mind, strengthen your convictions, choose your influence wisely, and continue becoming. Because environment can slow growth, but they do not have to stop it. Not if your conviction, not note, not if your conviction is stronger than the pressure around you. In the end, every person becomes a product of what they repeatedly allow around them. So choose carefully because your environment is not just shaping your present, it is shaping your future. This is self government podcast. I govern myself, therefore I ruled my world. And the lesson that we learn from this discussion today is this: environment powerfully influence identity and growth. Environment powerfully influences identity and growth. Environment growth often creates tension with familiar people and places. Growth often create tension with familiar people and places. Conviction sometimes requires distance and boundaries. Small compromises slowly weaken strong beliefs. Internal transformation matters as much as external changes. So, this is what we need to reflect today. Reflection questions. Which environment strengthened me and which weakened me? Have I remained loyal to environment that damaged my growth? What old mindset am I still carrying internally? Am I shrinking to make others comfortable? This is the exercise that you need to take on today. Environment, I need more of places, people, habits, conversation that strengthen growth. I need more of places, people, habit, conversation that strengthen growth. Environment, I must limit. Things constantly feeding negativity, fear, distraction, and confusion. Environment that I must avoid. I must build within myself the mindset, discipline, peace, and conviction you want internally. Then take one practical action this week to protect growth environment. In this episode is becoming deeply laid now. You are no longer just thinking about people's opinion, but you are thinking about how to build a very strong convictions and liberate an identity and leadership discipline and transformation. Thank you for joining us today. Until then, stay blessed. Thank you.